Thank you for viewing this video on improving content area reading comprehension using the intelligent tutoring system for the structure strategy. This video is presented in two parts. Part 1 includes information about the structure strategy and the design of the intelligent tutoring system. Part 2 presents research results from a large-scale research study conducted on the efficacy of the intelligent tutoring system for the structure strategy. My name is K. Wijakumar. I'm Associate Professor of Information Sciences and Technology at Penn State Beaver. My co-principal investigators for this project are Dr. Bonnie J. F. Meyer and Dr. Puiwa Lei, both from the College of Education at Penn State University at University Park. The research reported here was supported by the Institute of Education Sciences at the U.S. Department of Education through grant number R305G030072 to the Pennsylvania State University. The opinions expressed here are those of the authors and do not represent views of the Institute or the U.S. Department of Education. Before we move on, I'd like to acknowledge members of our research team, beginning with Dr. Bonnie Meyer, who actually created the structure strategy approach and reported on it initially in 1975, and since then has systematically and consistently studied every aspect of how text structure improves reading comprehension. Her work has been cited in many prestigious journals, and she has written many books and chapters about this approach as well. Most of the methods used in our system were based directly on the work she has performed, and all the passages in our system were also created using her approach. Dr. Puiwa Lei, also co-principal investigator, served as a methodologist for the project and analyzed all the large data sets and conducted many of the reviews that we needed to make this project successful. Members of the research team also included Ms. Lori Johnson, who was the study manager who oversaw all the implementation in the schools, Mr. James Spielvogel, who was the systems designer and administrator for the entire technology infrastructure and the delivery of the software to all the schools and classrooms, Ms. Catherine Shermatz and Ms. Janessa Weaver, both study coordinators who assisted in the data collection and also communications with the schools, Doctors Lawrence West, John Seymour, and Vito Folenza, who served as lab extension specialists, who helped us with the school recruitment as well as many other communications with schools, graduate students Yu Chu Lin, Melissa Ray, and Michael Cook, who were instrumental in designing many of the assessments as well as scoring our data. And finally, Dr. Patricia Alexander and Dr. Jana Kulikovic, both who served as consultants on the project. The biggest thank you goes to the teachers and administrators who participated in this very important project. Your participation shows your commitment to improving learning for the children, and we appreciate the fact that you went the extra mile to make this project successful. Research in schools is a very important part of making sure that the new curricula or new methods are very carefully tested before they are implemented in schools, and we think that this project will provide valuable information for you and for us in order to further extend what text structure can do in improving reading comprehension in schools. In this video, we present the reading comprehension challenges, a description of the structure strategy, and details about the design of the intelligent tutoring system for the structure strategy. I'm actually using the problem and solution text structure to present our project in a nutshell. The problem we set out to address is that there is a huge challenge for children in schools in content area reading comprehension. Sometimes this is referred to as expository text comprehension, but recently with the introduction of the Common Core standards, content area reading comprehension is the popular term. The solution that we have proposed and implemented is the structure strategy delivered via the intelligent tutoring system, combined with existing practices delivered with fidelity to classrooms and improving reading comprehension. The desired effects that we had hoped to achieve through the delivery of the structure strategy include strategic memory of the text, summarizing and understanding the top-level structure, inferences and application of knowledge, improvement in standardized test scores, improvement in comprehending content area reading. These are organized in a particular order to note that the strategic memory of text is the most important outcome that we sought to achieve. What children remember from their reading, how they remember it, and how well it's organized within their memory has the biggest impact on extending the learning, applying their knowledge, building inferences, combining with their prior knowledge, and everything that they do from that point forward. As you can see in the table presented, the 4th grade reading score on the National Assessment of Educational Progress in 1991 was 217, and in 2011 it's 221. In 8th grade it was 260 in 1991 and 265 in 2011. It's just a 5-point and 4-point increase in the reading comprehension scores. Additionally, 21st century skills that are recently being touted a great deal in schools talk about learning and innovation skills, critical thinking, information literacy, and communication as being very important for children of the current schools as well as for their future. Additionally, the newly introduced Common Core standards emphasize expository and content area reading comprehension, as noted by item 4.2, which talks about determining the main idea of a text and how it is supported by key details, summarizing the text. Additionally, item 4.5 specifically mentions text structures, chronology, comparison, cause-effect, problem solution of events, ideas, concepts, or information in a text or part of a text. So what is our solution? Our solutions involves the structure strategy delivered with fidelity using an intelligent tutoring system framework and integrating the structure strategy with existing practices, including writing. Before I can explain what the intelligent tutoring system for the structure strategy does, I'd like to take a minute to explain what the structure strategy does. The structure strategy is a cognitive and metacognitive approach that allows students to create a strategic memory of text. And the cognitive part of the structure strategy deals with identifying the signaling words to classify the text structure. 1 of 5 text structures can be used: comparison, problem and solution, cause and effect, sequence, and description. The second step would be to write a main idea using a specific pattern for each text structure. This is one of the most important parts of the structure strategy because it guides the creation of a strategic memory of the text. So this is not a procedural task that students apply to just find important ideas and connect them using a pattern. Instead, that pattern is supposed to guide the mental representation that we want the students to have when they finish the task. The third step in the structure strategy is to write a recall from memory using the correct organizational structure. This assists in reinforcing what the student has learned and further enhances the student's memory of the text. The metacognitive aspect of the structure strategy deals with monitoring comprehension. Students are able to compare what they know and figure out what additional information they're missing in their memory of the text. Most of this information will be further explained as the presentation continues. As stated in the previous slide, there are 5 text structures covered by the structure strategy and ITSS: comparison, problem and solution, cause and effect, sequence, and description. I just expand on one of the text structures to showcase the signaling words as well as the main idea pattern for the comparison text structure. The comparison text structure uses signaling words such as different, differ, in contrast, similarly, larger than, and so on. One important fact here is that comparison text structure includes similarities and differences and is sometimes referred to as compare-contrast. Additionally, problem and solution, cause and effect, sequence, and description text structures have similar signaling words and also use main idea patterns that are specific to the text structure itself. Finally, many real-life texts combine text structures. So, for example, problem and solution is frequently connected to cause and effect. Most problems have a cause. Additionally, in problems and solutions, one may be able to have a comparison of solution alternatives so that you can arrive at the ideal solution for the problem. Here is an example of a comparison passage the student may read in ITSS. This is a social studies passage with the title Differences Between Favorite Presidents of the USA. The title itself with the word differences signals to the reader that the comparison text structure is being used. The student is then instructed to look for who was being compared with whom. In this case, it's George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. And then the student is further advised to look for what basis they were compared on. In this case, they are compared on jobs, order of presidency, and the number of children they had. For the example passage comparing Abraham Lincoln and George Washington, the student can write a simple main idea that looks as shown on the screen. George Washington and Abraham Lincoln were compared on jobs, order of presidency, and number of children. Writing the main idea is the means to creating a strategic mental representation of the text for the student. And this mental representation is not just a standalone entity, but can be combined with existing prior knowledge and actually be used even if there was no prior knowledge to create a very strong representation that can be further extended as the student continues to learn and read. In this case, we would expect the expert reader's mental representation to show that George Washington and Abraham Lincoln are compared on 3 parallel structures: jobs, order of presidency, and children, in a tree-type format as shown in the diagram. Another representation of the main idea can be in the form of a matrix that compares George Washington and Abraham Lincoln again, and it shows the direct comparisons for order of presidency, for jobs, and for children. And students can use this also to assist in the creation of their strategic mental representation of the text. In summary, the structure strategy is metacognitive and cognitive. It's easy to use and can showcase nesting text structures. It focuses the reader's attention to important parts of the text. This is an important aspect because many students who have difficulty reading and comprehending frequently are advised to read and reread in order to find the most important elements of the text. The structure strategy is able to give them one step up by focusing their attention to who was being compared and what basis they were being compared, or the problem and the solution and the causes for the problem. It also guides the construction of strategic memory of the text through the process of writing that main idea. Students with prior knowledge can integrate and extend their knowledge. Students without prior knowledge create effective memory with hooks to extend in the future. Comparison, problem and solution, cause and effect are very important for creating strategic memory of texts, and that memory is efficient and effective. Sequence and description text structures, on the other hand, are considered easy by many people, but actually they are not as powerful as the comparison, problem and solution, and cause and effect text structures. Many students write their essays as first, second, next, last. Many historical texts are presented as a series of dates. All these things are basically stringing along a long string of numbers or dates and facts and figures that are harder to organize and remember than if they were presented as comparisons and problem and solutions and causes and effects. So the comparison, problem and solution, and cause and effect text structures are richer, and our research has shown that they can be taught to students as young as 4th grade. ITSS was designed to present the structure strategy to students in grades 4 through 8 and beyond, so that they can receive modeling, practice, assessment, and immediate feedback at an individualized level on comparison, problem and solution, cause and effect, sequence, and description text structures. We wanted to expand the access to the structure strategy, and most importantly, we wanted to provide consistency in modeling, practice tasks, assessments, and feedback. We also wanted to present students with examples from multiple domains in order for students to see that the structure strategy can be applied to most expository text domains such as science, social studies, current events, or any topic related to content area. Finally, we wanted to design for the learners, and we provided plenty of scaffolding and assistance and graduated feedback that would guide the students to not only prepare their main ideas correctly, but also to construct their recalls appropriately. So the system was designed with the idea that we wanted to present the 5 text structures, showcasing many different domains and adapting for the needs of the learners. The web-based ITSS was designed to provide a book-like affordance with plenty of modeling by an animated pedagogical agent named IT, Intelligent Tutor. IT provides modeling for how he would read and understand the texts that are presented. He also provides the students with practice tasks, assesses their responses immediately, and gives them immediate feedback that's customized and tailored to the student's response. Additionally, the practice tasks are presented in multiple domains in order to encourage the transfer of the structure strategy to different domains. Immediate assessment is done within the system, and advanced feedback is provided by IT in order to scaffold the students' learning. Our system is also designed to reduce seductive details that take away from the learning. Many students who are exposed to gimmicks on the web with flying frogs and leaping lizards tend to get attracted to those kinds of gimmicks, and actually their learning is reduced. Our system focuses on the text and minimizes the effects of seductive details by eliminating many of the pictures and images that sometimes may cause students to be easily distracted. We focus on multiple domains, and we also present students with real-life texts so that they understand that this approach works in all those settings. Now you see one of the screenshots from ITSS. In this case, there is a passage on elephants using the comparison structure presented to the student. Animated Pedagogical Agent IT is on the right-hand side of the page. The actual page looks like a book to set the stage that the student is reading a book. The student is asked to click on the signaling words in the passage and then will be asked to classify what text structure this belongs to. Additionally, there is a table below the passage that lists many of the signaling words that can be used for the comparison text structure and a main idea pattern for the comparison text structure. Once the student has responded to this question, IT will assess their response and give them immediate feedback. If their answer is incorrect, they will receive multiple tries with different types of feedback given to guide their learning. Here you see a sample of a matrix-style main idea that the student may view and practice on, comparing blue and beaked whales on size, teeth, what they eat, and where they live. On the bottom right-hand side, you see a page curl that signals that when the student has finished their work, they click on there to move on. As you will note, in this screen, the students are able to click on a pop-up window that shows them a key, and for each of the text structures, they can review the signaling words, they can check the main idea patterns, and they can also see an example of how a main idea is written, and they can actually close this window off and go back to their work on the lessons. I'd like to give you just a little preview of what's included in the second part of this presentation. We conducted large-scale efficacy studies funded by the U.S. Department of Education on ITSS from 2009 to 2012. We conducted the research in 3 states with over 60 schools, 14,000 total users on the system, and over 200 teachers. We conducted a large-scale efficacy study on ITSS and used a fully randomized controlled trial design with within-school random assignment of classrooms to ITSS or control group. We used a pre-test and post-test design. The pre-test and post-test both included a standardized test and researcher-designed measures of reading comprehension. The standardized test was the gray-silent reading test. The researcher-designed measures included signaling word use, main idea quality, and others. The ITSS classrooms used the software for 1 class period a week for 1 full year for approximately 30 to 45 minutes each week. Students using ITSS proceeded at his or her own pace, and a short teacher professional development was provided to the teachers. Our primary research question focused on whether students in 4th, 5th, 7th, and 8th grade classrooms using ITSS as a partial substitute for the standard language arts curriculum would outperform control classrooms on standardized and researcher-designed measures of reading comprehension. Secondary questions focused on whether there were differences between rural versus suburban, differences between girls and boys, and reading level of student. I hope I've given you enough information to encourage you to watch the second video that details the results from our research study and also provides information to teachers interested in combining their current practices with the structure strategy. Please contact us if you would like to continue using the ITSS software or would like access to the resources that we have developed through this project. Thanks for watching.